Hello, fine humans. Man, this has been fun. We've been having so much fun on these calls and these little chats with the healers. And today I get to be with Rose. Hello, Rose.
Hi.
Hi, beauty. And when we talked about quickening, what showed up for you?
Death is what showed up for me, which is kind of the opposite of what quickening normally means, being sort of that initial heartbeat, that first sign of life of a baby in a womb. And for me, the quickening of death is also part of that cycle. So it felt like very important for me to explore with myself, especially because personally in my life, my senior dog is reaching his end. And I'm starting to see that quickening, that instead of that heart fluttering to that constant strong beat, it's starting to flutter to an inconsistent beat energetically. I can feel his soul lightening. I can feel his sort of not as grounded and as present. And then I can see this physical manifestations as well.
It's really cool because when you tune into those stages of death, I love death. It's one of the things I love attending. I love being with people when they're dying. And you can feel exactly how you've explained it. You can feel all those stages as the body and the spirit or the soul, whatever we want to call it, begins to make a transition. Why is it important for us to pay attention to that?
I think death is something that personally I've done my best to avoid. The death of
Us?
anyone you love, the death of an idea of who you are, the death of a career, all of that is really jarring to the system. But as I've been watching Diesel work through this, and I'm so grateful in a meditation he shared with me, he said, "Get ready." He wants me to watch. He wants me to be sitting with him as he walks through this. And I know it will still be incredibly hard when he passes, but I can comfort him and myself and really value the moments that we have left because I'm watching that process. I can honor him, our relationship. I can honor where he's going, and I can honor myself for what I need because I'm watching this process, feeling into it, and seeing where it takes me.
Yeah, it's funny how it's different. I mean, it doesn't lessen any pain. Like let's just clear that up right off the bat. I mean, it may, but we're like this is not a process to try and like soften the blow. I mean, this loss is terrible. Loss is horrific. Loss can leave gaping holes in our beings, in our bodies, in our souls. But there is something so beautiful about the invitation to walk with someone or of any being, any being, or a career or a way of being that allows us to move with it a little more graciously. And I think the only ease I would think is there is that it doesn't come as a surprise. You know, when you get the phone call, so and so died, and you're like, wait, what?
Mhm.
Right? There is an invitation. When you think about, so what's the on the other side of this death? What's the invitation? What's the spaciousness or potential?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think what's on the other side, or even in the actual process of the death, not just the quickening, but as we deepen into the letting go, that's where the transformation happens. So transformation of soul from physical body to spirit. For me, transformation of my love from his physical body to how can we be in relationship as he transitions to spirit. Do we still want to be in relationship then? Is he going to move on? Am I going to go on? It helps you see the possibilities that are there, where I think in the past, the avoidance of grief, the avoidance of the pain, and the avoidance and the fear around death has made it difficult for me to actually feel my emotions and really cherish and honor the relationship that we do have and did have.
Yeah. I'm reading a book right now by John Connolly, and the title of the book is called Grief is Not Sacred. And what he's talking about is that if grief is another form of love, which is a common expression of it, isn't it? Then he says you can never stop grieving. He said
Mhm.
you can never. But you're exactly right. It gives us a chance to be in right relationship with whatever is dead, even if it's a fond memory in our past, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about grief is, I guess personally, I don't associate grief with only pain. So
Mhm.
I might be okay walking the rest of my life with grief because grief is I think to me, the remembrance of the love. So it's the good memories as well as the pain. But I think over time, if I'm willing to actually look at the emotions and carry the emotions, feel the emotions and release them as they show up to me, I can let go of the pain and remember the fondness more, remember the love, remember those moments and cherish them without sort of that heart-wrenching, ripping pain. And of course, it's going to be different for everybody. How long it takes to get there, if it ever does, that's totally individual. But personally, I just feel with any person or dog that I've ever loved, the more I avoid the pain and the more effort and energy I put into avoiding the pain, the longer it stays.
Love it. So what's your one key piece of advice for somebody who is suffering, who is grieving, who feels trapped by their pain or is overwhelmed by their pain or is like, okay, this needs to move, like this needs to shift, even just a tiny bit? What would you recommend to somebody?
I would say the first thing to do is to tap in and feel into what you might need. Maybe the emotions are too big and you don't know how to feel them, but you can feel into what you need in order to feel them. So do you need a loved one to support you? Do you need counseling or spiritual mentorship or guidance, energy healing? Do you need time by yourself? Do you need time in a group of like loving people who want to celebrate the life that was there? Feel into what you need, and that will give you sort of the guiding path steps to walk with death and your loved one, or even yourself as you transition.
Yeah. Because sometimes you might need chocolate cake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
There's
sometimes
lots of
you
times I
might,
need chocolate cake.
yeah, and sometimes you might need a therapist. Sometimes
Yeah.
you might need a dance party. Sometimes you might need a hot tub. You know, like there is no wrong way to walk with grief. There's no wrong way to life. So yeah, you love
There's
it.
no wrong way to death either.
That's right. Thank you. It was amazing. Thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you.
Okay, love you.
Love you too.